Good afternoon and welcome everybody to Palmetto Sports Daily. It is week 0, Friday night. Football's ready to kick off all around the state, and we are having you covered here with a preview of all of our games of the week. We start off with Columbia. Rick Henry is joining us, Carmine Jamay from the Upstate, and Tegan Brown over in Myrtle Beach. We're going to start here in the Low Country, though, and our game of the week here in this area is Stratford and Somerville, two old rivals meeting up once again to kick off the season. It is the 44th ever meeting between these two schools. Somerville pretty much dominated this rivalry. I believe they've won about 29 of those 44 meetings. And of course, the Green Wave getting to the finals of the 5A Division I state championship game last season, looking to take that next step and bring back a state championship this year. And they bring a lot of quality guys back, including their junior running back, Javen Williams, a guy who rushed for almost 2,000 yards last year, and their junior wide receiver, Jaden Kelly Murray, one of the top recruits in the entire state for that junior class. Now, as for Stratford, they bring back a lot of experience too, led by their quarterback, Jason Davis, a Liberty commit, a guy who's been a starter for Stratford for the last 4 years. In fact, Denny McDaniel telling us earlier this week, the head coach at Stratford, that he has about 4 or 5 guys on the offensive side of the ball who have been starters since their freshman year. So it should be a great matchup over at Somerville tonight. Let's hear from some of the players and the coaches.
I mean, every day you get more and more comfortable, but at the 4th year, I mean, I feel like I know it just like the back of my hand. It just rolls off the tongue whenever we're in the huddle. So it's pretty awesome to be in a system like that for 4 years.
The other day we were having a good period, and he pulled him in and talked to him, and it sounded just like a coach talking to him about the things we want to accomplish and stuff like that for the drill. And we've got 4 starters on that side of the ball. And then three-year starters. So obviously they played in the system for a long time, and they know it backwards and forwards.
Real versatile. We can do many things. Actually, we got many schemes, so it's gonna be hard to stop us all around. Attention to detail, and just stay focused on the goal. We like winning, so that's what we're gonna do.
We just got to get lined up and play football. We just got to run to the ball and tackle, and I think we'll be okay. It's good. We want to start out good. The only thing that stinks about that is, there's a chance you see them again in the playoffs, but that's 10, 11 weeks down the road.
Now, one other note about this game, you just saw Somerville coach Ian Rafferty right there. He's going to be out for this game tonight. He's actually suspended because his team practiced in pads too early in the offseason. Actually said they had their girdles on a couple days too early. So because of that, he took a 1-game suspension. He's going to miss that game tonight against Stratford, but he will be back set for next week. Rick, you got a big one in Columbia as well tonight.
Yeah, I've got a top 10 matchup for our first Football Friday game of the week. I've got second-ranked Ridgeview hosting number 8 Fairfield Central. Now, we have some video of their meeting last year, and it wasn't even close as Ridgeview, in their first year in 5A, blew out Fairfield Central. Ridgeview finished the season 8-5, but listen to some of the folks they lost to. They lost to Dutch Fork, who went on to win the 5A state championship. They lost to Sumter. The Gamecocks finished 12-1. They lost to Somerville. The Green Wave finished 13-1. Plus, Ridgeview has a number of guys coming back. They gained a lot of confidence in their first year in 5A. So their head coach, Derek Howard, he says they're looking for a little bit of get back this season. And, of course, everyone always asks me about Dutch Fork. Dutch Fork is not playing their season opener until next week when they take on Spartanburg. But Dutch Fork, they're looking for their 4th straight 5A title, their 10th overall. They finished 13-0 last year. So it's unusual if you find a guy who played for Dutch Fork over the past decade who did not win a state championship. As a matter of fact, the seniors this year are looking for their 4th ring. And here's what some of the players had to say about Dutch Fork looking to add another title this season.
It's definitely special, and it really lays it down because you want to win a state championship. You don't want to be the one not to. It's our senior season, so this one's our state championship, so it means a lot more.
It's like an expectation for us. A lot of teams, like you said, it's a goal to even make it to playoffs. But, for us, it's kind of a normal thing. So we have a very high standard for ourselves, and we don't let that, bring us down or anything.
As I mentioned, Dutch Fork, they open the season next week against Spartanburg, and then their next game will be against Ridgeview. So that should be another blockbuster here in the Midlands.
Well, over here in the PD, we've got West Florence and South Florence facing off against each other. And they're doing it, again, week 0, which is interesting because it used to be that this huge rivalry game was at the end of the season because they were in the same class. But last year with the reclassification, West Florence is now in a different class. So now it has to happen during that non-region part of the season. West Florence heading into this year with a brand new head coach, Chad Wilkes, who has some experience at Lamar, C.E. Murray, Oceanside Collegiate. He's got 7 years of coaching experience total. You're taking a look at South Florence right now. They're being led once again by Drew Marlowe, and South Florence, of course, last year winning a state championship against Westside by just 1 point, and that was a little bit of revenge for the year before when they lost by a very few amount of points to Westside, of course, led by Cutter Woods, the current Gamecocks QB. So this one, a big rivalry out there happening at West Florence, and Chad Wilkes is taking in a team with a lot of inexperience.
It's going to take time for them for us to get them to play and execute at the level that we want them to. So I know the kids will be super excited. There's going to be a ton of people in the stands. It's going to be a packed house, and there will be a lot of emotion there. But, you know, the message to the kids is we can win Friday night. Doesn't mean we won the state championship. We can lose Friday night and doesn't mean we lost the state championship. You know, so for us, it's about making sure that we execute to the best of our ability, and that's what will win us or lose us the game.
Florence went 8-4 overall last year, and they did once again start the season against South Florence last year. That was a loss for them, 23-16. You know, they did all right in region play, a couple of losses in there to Ridgeview and to Sumter. Then their season ended against Irmo. South Florence, on the other hand, they just had 3 losses last year, one of them in non-region, 2 of them in non-region, excuse me, one of them in region play against Hartsville. But a big rivalry out there in the PD. And Drew Marlowe talking about his team going into this season.
Yeah, I think we'll be a little bit more exciting to watch this year. You know, we feel confident in our receivers and our ability to throw the ball and push the ball down the field. So that'll be sort of a new element to what we've done the last 2 years. I think we'll look a lot more, you know, kind of like we did in 2022. It's always an emotional game. And so, you know, just it'll be important for us to, again, you know, be focused on us and the things that we need to do to improve and, you know, really be focused throughout the night.
Yeah, one of the West Florence players I talked to said to me pretty much verbatim, they wake up every single day hating South Florence. So it'll be a big game out there tonight. And Carmine, I know you've got a pretty big game of the week coming up too, right?
Yeah. That's right, Tegan, and I love the history recap you gave on some of the current Gamecocks quarterbacks. Of course, Lenora Sellers, the South Florence State champ, and now the Gamecocks starter. And then the following year, Cutter Woods winning that class's state championship, like you said, the first state championship for Westside for Cutter Woods in, I think, since the year we went to the moon, 1969. So pretty incredible there. And then the lineage to go to the Gamecocks after that. Really awesome history recap you gave. So yeah, in the upstate here, Westside, of course, from the upstate. But right now, our game of the week is all about Burns High School hosting T.L. Hanna. T.L. Hanna, of course, of fame from the movie Radio, and now Ben Boulware, the national champ for Clemson, returning to the Clemson linebacking staff as a linebackers coach. But like I mentioned, Burns High School, guys, very interesting last year. They played every single game on the road last season because their stadium was demolished, that had stood there since 1955 and completely rebuilt. So this will be the first game that they're playing in their brand new stadium $30 million later. And if you're wondering, hey, why are we leading off with high school football? Maybe you should check your pulse, first of all, on Palmetto Sports Daily. But secondly, that just shows you the investment that people put into high school football here in the great state of South Carolina. $30 million, guys. This stadium's incredible. We're going to have that later online as well on foxcarolina.com. But all new seating, plaza, concessions, everything you could possibly imagine for this new Burns Stadium and kicking off and trying to return to the days of old. You guys might remember Burns High School, that powerhouse that was in the early 2000s there, led by Marcus Lattimore, the Gamecocks running back, when they won 3 state championships during his time. They have 11 state titles to their name, so trying to start this season strong, hosting T.L. Hanna. we are just starting off strong here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We have much more about some college football and some new gear, a brand partnership for the Gamecocks coming up.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. In the first segment, we talked about high school football. A lot of teams getting underway this week, so a lot of excitement from the coast to the upstate. And also, the Gamecock Athletics, their wardrobe is getting an update, so to speak, as the Board of Trustees today approved an agreement with Nike, ending a nearly 20-year relationship with Under Armour. The new deal with Nike is for 10 years, close to $80 million. And I believe we do have some pictures of what some of the new uniforms may look like. There's athletics director Jeremiah Donati holding a football jersey, along with the school president emeritus. So, folks, what do you think? I know these are just, I guess, some prototypes, and who knows what the finished product is going to look like. But I know a lot of folks, a lot of fans are happy to see the swoosh on the uniforms. So what do you think? Any reason to be excited that the Gamecocks are now going with Nike? Kevin?
No, I mean, we mentioned this yesterday. I think a deal like this would have been bigger 5 years ago. No, who cares? It's a swoosh on the jersey. Whoopee. This would have been a bigger deal 5 years ago, and it would have been something where Nike could help recruit kids, and that's something they're going to do. Now kids don't care what jersey they're wearing. They're not going to give up. It's all about what kind of NIL money they're going to get. If they're getting more from South Carolina now because they have this Nike money, that's great. But if another school is going to offer them more, it doesn't matter if they're wearing Nike, Adidas, and One. If I put together some kind of jersey and sew it myself, as long as they get the money, they're not going to care whose jersey they're wearing.
I'm going to disagree a little bit with Kevin here. I think it's cool that they have Nike now. I prefer Nike over Under Armour. I think the design is really clean. I especially like that white jersey. That one looks really nice. I just hope that they'll savor their last season with Under Armour this year. I wish the debut was happening this year. But I think Nike, or I think athletes somewhat care about that, but I do agree with Kevin that the NIL is, much more important in terms of choosing their school rather than who's representing their uniforms and everything. Carmine?
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's not a major recruiting factor, but it is a cool factor. I mean, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you remember back in the day when so many commits were going to Oregon, partially because of the Nike uniforms, the Phil Knight money up there of Air Jordan fame as well, and, the neon colors and all that. Back then, that was a much more important recruiting factor deal. But I don't think you can deny that the swoosh and having the Nike jerseys and the modern sleek look, always on the cutting edge of fashion, is cool. Like I said, I don't think it's a recruiting factor. But not only is the swoosh cool, but guys, the swish, and this is the coolest part that I thought, taking this to the basketball court, and the Gamecocks women's basketball team, of course, the three-time national champs, will be now outfitted with Asia Wilson's gear, being a Nike athlete, and the A1 sneaker. So I think that's a cool, giving back to the alma mater, that partnership element, I think, is cool as well. But hey, let's talk about a new development in the SEC, speaking of them, and that is, I'm interested to see what you all think, how big of a deal this really is. The SEC football schedule next year will go from the previous 8 games against SEC teams, which it's been since the early 90s. Now it'll be 9 games against SEC teams, and they're just doubling down on the slogan. It just means more. But Rick, how much does this really mean as far as the competition among the SEC? There you see Commissioner Greg Sankey, and he's saying, this will help with competitive balance, preparing teams for the college football playoff. We know the SEC is the best football conference as far as top to bottom competition, but how much more does this mean, Rick, for SEC fans?
Well, we see a shot of Shane Beamer there, and last night on his radio show, Shane likes it because now it will motivate the other schools. Well, really, they have no choice now to step up their games when it comes to scheduling. Okay, you've got to play 9 conference games, and also it's a mandate that you have to play a pretty good team from a Power 4 conference, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, or Notre Dame every year. South Carolina, they were already doing that because they have Clemson. You have Florida playing Florida State. Kentucky plays Louisville. Georgia plays Georgia Tech. Now, teams that have been loading up on cupcakes, and I know people love to take a jab at Kentucky because they play these lower-level teams, but now they've got to step it up just like everyone else. So Shane says now everyone is really playing by the same rules, and it does make you extremely tournament tough, so to speak. But again, let's go back to last year. The Gamecocks finished 9-3, one of the toughest schedules in the country, and still missed out on the playoffs. So now that the schedule is going to get even tougher starting next year, will that play to your benefit? I certainly hope it does, because you should be rewarded for playing a tougher schedule.
Yeah, and Rick, the thing I think this really opens up is that now it looks like the playoff is going to expand to 16 teams. I think this was a big part for the Big Ten. You know, they were already playing 9 conference games. They said they didn't want to expand to 16, having the 5 automatic and the 11 at-large bids, until the SEC also scheduled 9 conference games just to kind of make things more fair. And now it seems that we're going to have that. So a team like South Carolina last year would have gotten into the playoffs. So I think that's a big thing. That kind of bounces back to, at what point does this kind of just completely diminish what the conference championship games are going to be for the SEC, for the Big Ten, and then for the ACC and the Big 12? Because at that point, if we're having 16 teams and at least 2 of those teams are going to be going from all those conferences, why are the top 2 teams even going to care about going to a conference championship game? And at that point, why don't you just put in your backups and let them go before you get ready for the playoff the next week? It would seem like the smart move would be to eliminate those and start the playoff a week earlier, since you're going to have an extra week. And maybe you need more incentive for those teams to win the conference in the regular season. Maybe make it the first 2 games of the playoff are going to be at home, Tegan.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see your point and where you're coming from. I think that this is a good thing for SEC teams, adding that extra conference game. I think, too, this will open it up for, you know, if you're not having those big rivalry games every year, the ones that people are really tuning into, this gives you another opportunity to add another one of those, to add a game that people want to watch. I want these schedules to be harder for these teams if we're expanding the playoffs. If we're doing that, you should have the reasons to make it in there. I mean, you look at Indiana's schedule from last year, the fact that they made it in the playoffs with that one, and that schedule was, in my opinion, much easier than you had South Carolina. South Carolina having a much tougher schedule, and I think deserving to get in more. But I think that this will really open things up. I think this is a good thing. But we're going to have more on the other side here on Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily, and guys, another Panthers preseason game and another Panthers preseason loss, finishing the preseason 0-3 last night, losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers at home 19-10. The Steelers led by Rock Hill, South Carolina native at quarterback Mason Rudolph, but 3 games in the preseason, the Panthers scored 2 total touchdowns. Not what you want to do. They averaged fewer than 7 points per game in the preseason. Here's head coach Dave Canales on the problems and how to fix them.
The places where we got to get better is the turnovers. It showed up every week, in different ways. And so that's something that I have to get that done. I have to take that personally responsible, to be able to take care of the ball. Also just finishing drives, and it just seemed like we got a bunch of drives going, throughout this preseason that kind of just ended, with turnovers or ended in different ways. Penalties kind of put us in some situations too. So just looking for that consistent execution across the board. Proud of the camp that we threw together. The effort every day. It was a great group to coach. We know we have a lot of hard decisions to make, coming in the morning. And, I just wanted to say that first and foremost. I think just the energy, the excitement, the culture that we're building here, the brand of football that we're learning to piece together and play with. Just really proud of the way the guys battled.
Panthers will try to bounce back September 7th when they play at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the deadline for cuts Tuesday, 1 p.m. to cut down that Panthers roster to 53 men. We're cutting down this segment right now, but we'll be right back with the incredible run of the Irmo Little League World Series team right after this.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We've talked a lot about the Little League World Series on here because we've got a representative from South Carolina out there. And Kevin, we're not talking about betting odds today. I'm just going to let Rick talk about the team themselves. We do not encourage betting on this show, Rick, but I'll bet on you too.
You don't.
Oh, betting on Rick.
Well, hey, really got to salute the Irmo All-Stars. They represented Irmo and the state of South Carolina in the southeast region so very well. But their kryptonite in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, turned out to be the team from Las Vegas. They beat them 1-0 on Monday, and then last night, Vegas comes back. They get a 3-run homer in the 6th inning, and they beat Irmo 5-3. So, but really just so proud of the guys and the effort that they gave, and they're going to get a nice celebration in the town of Irmo, and they deserve it because they played so very, very well.
Oh, in Vegas, where they can legally bet. That's an interesting shot. Yeah, but great week by Irmo. They put together some great baseball, some memorable moments these kids are going to have for the rest of their lives, so congratulations to them. That's going to wrap it up for Palmetto Sports Daily. We will see you back here on Monday. Everyone have a great weekend. Go listen to the podcast.